This March, members of a Midwestern militia were arrested and charged with conspiring to kill police officers. A video posted on the group's website shows them training for armed combat. Prosecutors said they were planning an attack for the purpose of setting off what they hoped would be an anti-government uprising.
In the last year in particular, we have seen militias, which were really a big deal back in the 1990s, simply come roaring back.
Mark Podock is the director of the Intelligence Project at the Southern Poverty Law Center, where he tracks extreme right-wing groups.
We've gone from numbers like, 170 militias to well over 500. I think there is a huge amount of anger out there. What we're really lacking at this moment is a kind of spark.
In the 1990s, during the last Democratic presidency, the Patriot movement was ignited by the government assault on the Branch Davidian compound in Waco.
The Waco siege was seen as this is what the government will do to people who dissent. If we were to have a similar kind of event now, I think it is entirely possible that we could see this movement grow even more rapidly than it's been growing over the last 12 or 18 months.
In April 2009, the Department of Homeland Security warned that homegrown terrorism could be fueled by the severe recession and the election of the first African-American president.
President of the United States.
A common theme in the anger across the spectrum of the new right is the deep dislike for Barack Obama. The demonization of the president decorates many of the posters at the grassroots rallies. They call him a socialist, a communist, a Nazi, an historic threat to the country.
Mr. Obama is pushing a socialist legislative agenda.
Traitor!
He's going to destroy this country. And we're either going to stop him or the United States of America is going to cease to exist.
Alan Keyes, who ran against Barack Obama in his 2004 Senate race, was an early leader in what's known as the birther movement. In November 2008, he filed a lawsuit claiming the president-elect should not be awarded California's Electoral College votes because, according to Keyes, Obama is not a natural-born citizen.
He has refused to provide proof that he is, in fact, a natural-born citizen.
The president was born in Hawaii and has released the legal paperwork from the state documenting his birth. Also available is the birth announcement that ran in the newspapers at the time of his birth. But it's not enough for the legions of people determined to prove he is ineligible for the office.
Barack Hussein Obama is completely illegitimate for U.S. presidency, specifically because his father was never a U.S. citizen. He came to this country on a student visa from Kenya, which at the time was a British colony, and due to British Nationality Act of 1948, Obama was a British citizen at birth. And then when Kenya became an independent country, Barack Hussein Obama became the citizen of Kenya.
Decided to distribute it.
Orly Taitz, a Los Angeles-based lawyer who grew up in the Soviet Union, represented Alan Keyes in his lawsuit against Obama and has filed numerous other cases denying the president's eligibility.
We can have him out of office within 30 days.
The cases continued to be dismissed, and one judge fined her $20,000, noting, unlike in Alice in Wonderland, simply saying something does not make it so.
When I see judges coming with such decisions, it's an embarrassment to the judicial system of this nation, that instead of seeing actual document, actual birth certificate for baby Barack Hussein Obama from Hawaii, we are just offhand dismissing these cases as frivolous. There's nothing frivolous about it.
Part of the birther's MO is repeating Obama's middle name, Hussein, to make a less than subtle connection to America's old enemy, Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein. There's also the visible evidence at rally after rally of a deep antipathy toward the person of Barack Obama. It's a fact that our first African-American president is facing unprecedented questions about his very Americanness.
There's some folks who just weren't sure whether I was born in the United States, whether I was a socialist, right? So there's that segment of it, which I think is just dug in ideologically, and that strain has existed in American politics for a long time.
While not embracing the birthers, many conservative leaders refuse to separate from them. Do you think that the people who have raised the issue of Barack Obama's citizenship have a real case or not?
There's a venue for that. It's probably in the courts.
Former Republican Congressman and House Majority Leader Dick Armey has become one of the more well-known faces of the Tea Party movement. No longer in office, Armey is now the chairman of Freedom Works, a conservative advocacy group that trains and organizes Tea Party activists across the country. Well, let me read you something you said. Nearly every important office in Washington, D.C. today is occupied by someone with an aggressive dislike of our heritage, our freedom, our history, and our Constitution.
I believe that's true. It is not just an unawareness of the genius of the Constitution. It's a dislike of this Constitution.
So are you talking about members of Congress?
I'm talking about members of Congress. I'm talking about people in the White House, throughout the White House, beginning with the President. I don't believe the President of the United States knows and respects and appreciates the Constitution of the United States.
A strong statement, given that Obama dedicated himself to constitutional law at the University of Chicago. But it's a consistent drumbeat on the new right. Politicians, this president especially, don't respect our Constitution.
I think members of Congress ought to have to read major bills, but I'd be just as happy if some of them read this a little more often. The Constitution of the United States of America.
But can all this anger on the right translate into a real political force? Coming up, the Tea Party fights to be a political contender.
We need to send a loud and clear message that they need to put up candidates that actually represent conservatism.